The Simple Critic, Series 1 of 1 by Nathan Written by Nathan Audio companion narrated by Nathan Music created and performed by Nathan Episode 3. It was just a dream. 1. Interior. An empty theatre stage. We hear the comedic ambient drum music begin to play as heard in the first 2 episodes. We hear the theatre lights switch on. Shoom. We see the theatre stage described in the first 2 episodes. We hear diegetic footsteps dashing from centre stage left, our left, onto the stage. 1, 2, 3. Colonel Corney hurriedly enters the stage, from centre stage left towards centre stage. We see on Colonel Corney's upper body a thin, black, over-the-shoulder backstrap. The strap starts on his right shoulder, reaches down to his left hip, and loops back up. We see a box of 3-ply tissues hanging on the backstrap in front of Colonel Corney's belly. Colonel Corney is dressed in his usual Queen's footguard attire. Tall black hat, check. Fastened red coat, check. Black suit trousers, check. Has this been mentioned before? He again right-hand salutes to the screen and then lowers it. The comedic ambient drums music stops as Colonel Corney salutes and transitions to the ending music, which played in episode 2. This transition is signalled by a sound effect reminiscent of a cassette tape. Oh, hello again. Welcome back. Been well, have you? Went out partying with friends the other night, didn't you? Forgot about the previous episode, haven't you? An audience with the attention span of a goldfish. Cue the critic. As Colonel Corney finishes his monologue, he extends and points his right hand towards us, as if to say, hurry up and cut to the next scene. But wait, there's more. And that was no insult to goldfish. They are a lovely species. I've met some. Yeah, back in the good old days of the War of 06, when myself and the other soldiers fought for Queen and country, and we won in the end, and that doesn't make any sense. I'm probably fading out now as I go on. And on, 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 and on. Before cutting to the next scene, we see a black screen with a string of words appearing 1 letter at a time. We also hear a typewriter sound effect as this happens. The words are, for your information, the season is winter. N. 2. Interior. T.S.C's living room. The camera, our point of view, looks down to T.S.C's living room from the ceiling. From ceiling to floor, the height is 2 meters. Entering through the front door, the living room is a cozy, medium room located on the left. There is a black, somewhat worn-looking 3-seat sofa bed. The leftmost seat is the longest seat and can be used as a so-called sofa bed. It is funny how, in this quiet neighborhood, some neighbors love using the vacuums. Day in and day out. Funny. The sofa bed is up against the wall facing the front yard. Oh look, there are the deep red rose trees which T.S.C. hopes would perish at some point because he wants to avoid another thorny situation. Thorns. The sunlight is still shining in through the window and shows that the time of day is still daytime. The front of the sofa bed faces a salmon-coloured brick wall with a fireplace standing still and silent at the bottom. Its vacant mouth makes the room seem ghastly. From sofa bed view, the wall on our left has a standing wall heater switched on to 22 degrees Celsius. The wall on our right is open, as the wall on our right connects to the corridor leading to other rooms in T.S.C's home. The walls in the living room have been painted white chocolate, like the white chocolate Tim Tams. Along the edge of the floor is white polyvinyl chloride PVC skirting. The floor is made with fake wooden PVC floorboards. The camera is now in front of T.S.C, who remained in his red turtleneck and blue sweatpants. He is sat upright in the middle of the sofa bed with his legs crossed on top of each other, looking up at the ceiling. He is not in the slightest bit bothered by his upright posture, and his arms are flopped by his sides. The camera zooms tightly into T.S.C at face and upper chest level. As this happens, T.S.C raises his arms quickly, and the camera is back on the ceiling. T.S.C lowers his arms quickly. We can now see T.S.C's sad facial expression, which looks similar to that expressed by a young boy who had lost his favourite toy. He looks at us. The camera zooms out carefully until the entire sofa bed is visible. We look at T.S.C and wonder what is happening in his mind. The event at the park, which happened in episode 1, seemed to have finally hit him. We see T.S.C close his eyes. 1, 2. Cut to black. 3. Exterior. A wide park. Dream sequence. Day. Quick flashes of scenes from the park in episode 1 play with a sort of sepia colour filter applied. They jump from one to the next. In one scene we see Colonel Corny again, hovering out on the green. But something is wrong here. Alarmingly, the head of Colonel Corney twists 180 degrees and faces us. His facial expression looks crazed, and his eyes roll up and down on a loop. We hear a twisting rope sound effect as this happens. The sepia coloration of the scenes swiftly swaps out for an intensely vibrant color palette, akin to the intensified colors that someone experiencing the colorful side effects of an illegal drug might see. Like that scene in the BBC series Ghosts, where a creepy doll moves its head or other body part, the camera slowly zooms into Colonel Corney's crazy face, and his head suddenly tilts to the left. It is very frightening. Then, swoosh, we return back to T.S.C's living room at ceiling level. 4. Interior. T.S.C's living room. 1, 2, 3, 4. T.S.C. opens his eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the camera is in front of T.S.C. He suddenly shakes and waves his limbs out and flies off the sofa bed, like a bird which was casually sat on an electrified metal fence and flapped about uncontrollably. The camera backs out throughout, and now we see T.S.C., the sofa bed, and the window facing the front yard. Sunshine floods the background. All of this action happens in one go. Ugh! T.S.C. exclaims, as if to say, nightmare. We then see him move towards the corridor on his right. 1, 2, 5. Interior. An empty theatre stage. We are back inside the theatre, where Colonel Corney now appears uplifted. Yes! The critic is back on his feet. A little dream, did it? And before you mistake me for planting that seed in the soil, I am not a genie. I feel like the more I try to tell the truth, the more incriminated I feel. So I shall put a full stop on that and move swiftly on. We see Colonel Corney shoot his arms in the air like a triumphant politician. He claps his hands repeatedly. Woo, yeah! At this rate, the critic's going to make amends with his ex-lover. The moment of realization Colonel Corney has here. Strikes him down like a bolt of lightning. We see his body grow stiff, like when a robber gets caught red-handed by the police's torch during an attempted robbery at the local space museum. We see Colonel Corney straighten his coat and dust off his black hat on his head. His happy expression turns regretful. Sorry about that. I shouldn't have mentioned the ex-lover. Spoilers. As Colonel Corney says this, he points his left thumb to his nose and wiggles his left hand like a child would if he or she was teasing another child. Colonel Corney lowers his left index finger to his lips. Shh. He made a mistake. Shh. Back to the critic. We see Colonel Corney hurriedly run towards centre stage left, again upper left, as if he was a mischievous young boy. Again. Imagine a young and mischievous Colonel Corney running towards a towering maple tree, which is a leap 6. Interior. T.S.C's living room. We return to T.S.C's living room, and the sun has set fully. No lights are on except for the solar-powered lights, at least those which still work in the front yard. Also, it is raining. God knows when that started happening. The camera is still on the same spot from the previous living room scene. Living room lights are on. They give a warm, yellowish-white light. Lovely. We see T.S.C. return to the living room with a steaming, chocolate-black coloured Korean clay pot atop a grey-coloured heat mat in his hands. He has stuck a stainless steel soup spoon into the middle of the clay pot. T.S.C. mindfully gets comfy on the sofa bed, setting down his dinner on the far end of the leftmost and longest seat, turning 180 degrees, squatting down buttocks first on the near side of the seat and falling onto the back cushion. We hear a attractive sizzling sound from the clay pot. The camera is back on the ceiling to get a better look at the delicious dinner. T.S.C. is about to eat one of his favourite meals. Vegetable stir-fry with steamed brown and white rice. We see 7 sweet snow pea pods that have been chopped to so-called bite-sized size, 3 small bok choy leaves which have a couple of small holes in them because of cabbage worms, which were carefully removed prior to harvest, and a handful of small onions and finger-sized carrots bought at the supermarket. The rice was cooked the night before and microwaved for 1.5 minutes to warm up. We see T.S.C. take out his spoon in the middle of the clay pot and scoop out a spoonful of his rice. We see him eating and indulging in his beloved meal. T.S.C. is happy eating his meal and sitting comfortably on his sofa. The camera is now inside the fireplace. We see T.S.C. suddenly put his clay pot on the middle seat next to him and struggle to lift himself from his comfortable seated position. It is like watching a chicken egg with protruding legs and feet struggling to lift itself up onto its feet. He walks toward and squats in front of the fireplace and takes out a box of matches from his left trouser pocket. He opens the box, pinches out one matchstick, and swiftly scratches the flammable bit against the rough ignition strip on the box. The swift scratch ignites a tiny but satisfying flame. We see T.S.C. carefully dip the matchstick below us and the camera on a pile of thick and thin firewood logs, respectively. And just as the firewood is lighting up, the camera is now behind T.S.C. and the increasingly scintillating fireplace. We see trickles of flames begin to arise from the firewood, which suddenly intensifies, then simmers. T.S.C. stands up and retreats elatedly to his seat on the sofa bed, flicking down the lit matchstick to extinguish the otherwise fiery hazard. The camera rises with T.S.C. and backs away as T.S.C. retreats. He picks up his clay pot and resumes indulging in his dinner. 1, 2, 3, 4. During this silence, we hear the sound of the dancing flames in the fireplace panning left to right and so forth. Fade to black. Seven. Interior. An empty theatre stage. And we are back in the empty theatre stage to hear more of Colonel Corley's colourful stories recounting his time in the War of 06. For the first time since the theatre stage was introduced in episode 1, the camera quickly panned left to right as if a human being were doing this and halts at centre stage left. We can sort of see the dark corridor that leads into the stage. Kind of scary to look into, come to think of it. For the first time since his introduction in episode 1, we see Colonel Corley lying down with his feet resting on stage at centre stage left and facing centre stage. He is fast asleep. Suddenly, the comedic army drums music begins playing. What in the world? Colonel Corley does not move at all, and is oblivious to the booming music. The music cuts off, say 10 seconds later, and we hear a disc scratch sound effect. What is happening? Out of nowhere, we hear on our left a door open and close, harshly. Hard and fast, footsteps ensue, growing closer and closer, until they just stop somewhere at centre stage left. Then, they start again toward the dormant Colonel Corley. We see a woman in her 50s appear. She is dressed in a black scuba diving suit, which seems to be a little wet. A friend of hers may have called her to deal with the situation. Also, those green pectoralis patches could distract you underwater and cause you to collide with a coral wall, right? Right? She is also wearing her yellow flippers. Yes, she owns a pair of yellow flippers. She loves swimming in flippers. Deal with it. A flat puddle of water slowly forms and expands around her. Her natural greyish black hair looks all weird and down. One could say the tip of her hair resemble porcupine or hedgehog spikes. Some strands of hair are also stuck to her chin. She looks disappointed, shooting an invisible laser at Colonel Corley's lifeless mass. 1, 2. We see her fold her arms in disgust, then calmly unfold her arms and walk onto the stage where Colonel Corney's feet are. She lifts his calves, spins him around 180 degrees, and drags him away from the camera. There is silence and nothing to see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Text on the screen appears, and we hear the typewriter sound effect heard at the beginning of this episode. The text reads, "Please welcome Mrs. Corney, Colonel Corney's faithful and also tolerating wife," followed by a full stop after 2 beats. End of episode. Thank you very much for reading or listening to this episode of The Simple Critic, Series 1 of 1. Until next time, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day. Hey, it's Nath.